If I think about the companies that we've worked with, things that I could have known and been a part of, I might not be having the same conversation with you.
The Desert Island Essentials. If you were a mini Neil starting off at the beginning of your journey, and if you were going to give advice to the younger self, you have no money, no bags, no black book, no connections whatsoever. What are the 5 things that you would recommend to yourself to accelerate that journey?
Well, yeah, I think the first thing is educate myself, right? It's read. I mean, there are so many accesses to information out there, which I wish, like, if the access to knowledge that we have now is so crazy, now to the point where it's fed directly to us, which is a little bit scary. But if I had the ability to just go back and say, okay, let's start this from scratch, getting access to the right people in the space and through the literature that's out there would be one of those important things, right? So there's some books these days that are that apply to the space that have been written by folks that are fairly knowledgeable. And something that's recent is the book by Chris Dixon, and that I think is very powerful. You've kind of probably seen the promotion around it. And A16 is very well known space, but Read Write Web, those guys have spent a lot of time focusing in on that, and I think that's a good read. There's also some more kind of technical stuff. Mastering the Blockchain by Imran Bashir. It's a great book as well. I think educating yourselves both on the business side and on the technical side, in terms of understanding what is the blockchain? What does decentralized mean, right? Like, let's start from scratch here. I know nothing. How do I educate myself to really understand kind of what it is out there that, there could be potential opportunities on? And then, between those two, right, you've armed yourself a lot with kind of the potential here of, now I can start thinking about, where's there a particular demand here in this space? Let me look at, if I could look at, some of the existing technologies and, how would I might be able to fit something into that? And then, it has to combine with, like, actually, cliche again, but like my actual interest and passion, right? Like, if I am a gamer, right, and I start reading about all of this stuff, like, does this make sense? Like, is this something that I would want to devote my time to and put my passion towards? Because once you turn your passion into like a job, you're always like a little bit scared to do that, but you better love what you do in that perspective. And I think that's a concept that, I don't know, again, dating myself, but coming back from more like, hey, like, we're just almost like programmed, I got to go into finance, managing consulting, something like that. Now it's like people really have the opportunity to kind of apply the things that they have passions about, right, to their everyday life from a work perspective. And I think that's what this technology kind of allows us to do at some level, right? It's trying to, once people get their head around it, right, especially like from the creator perspective, we talked a little bit about that, but the creator perspective of, I can be an artist at some level and I can actually make a living doing that, and I can utilize this technology to do that, is really powerful, right? Whereas it's been like, that world has been so closed off and owned by certain types of, commercial folks that, getting access to that has changed. Now, I own that, right? And if I understand how it works through, education, through some of this stuff, then I'm armed with the ability to put together an offering, if you will, around a product suite or a service or, my particular passion, if you will. So those are some of the things that I think about if I was really going to take myself back outside of, buy Bitcoin in 2010.
The thing shoulda, woulda, coulda.
I tell you, if I think about the companies that we've worked with, like, the things that I could have known and been a part of at that time, I might not be having the same conversation with you.
You will be sitting on a
Another
Caribbean island somewhere.
for sure. For sure.
Okay, number 3, I believe, Web3 community engagement and governance.
Yes, that's actually that's a really solid one as well. I think the like I said before, the community is particularly important in this environment, right? Web3 is all about building a strong community and getting them to engage, right? It's one thing to have just a network, but you need people actually kind of working off of and believing the network and everything that you're trying to build there. So that community engagement is so important, and that read particularly again can't be talked about enough because that's the underlying kind of concept between all of this, right? It's that network effect that we're talking about in terms of building out these types of companies. Like we all want in traditional, finance and business, right? It's all about, finding your market segment and all of that. But the Web3 community is meant to be more interactive, right? We're supposed to have a dialogue with, the people that we're putting this product and service around. And if I can engage in that, there's a lot that I can do. And you see that in the traditional world a little bit, right? And that's why kind of social media and the marketing around that has been far more successful, like in something like TikTok, right? The way that the conversion factors work, and that far more positive. And then if you twist that a little bit into really what a decentralized kind of Web3 protocol and network is trying to achieve, right? It's something very similar, right? It's that engagement that we're talking about. And if I can build that engagement in the community, that increases the value of the token and increases like the overall returns for everyone, and that people are compelled to engage with this particular product and service because I'm going to be rewarded with these types of incentives, then you would vastly improve your ability to be successful as an organization. So certainly things that that level of engagement and community building and then obviously the governance side of it too, making sure that people are managing that properly can't go overlooked in this process. And then some other things. This again cliche, but you gotta have thick skin to do this. Honestly, because you're going to get hit in the face a lot with, you can't do this. This doesn't make any sense. We've seen this before. I said that, you should stay focused, but there's still trial and error here, right? You are going to fail multiple times, right? And it's just trying, okay, well, this didn't work, but let's try it this way, right? It's staying, the goal's still there, right? The defining moment is, it's going to come, but, just like any kind of engineer would, right? You have to trial and error all the way through it. So that you have to kind of work through all of that to make sure that, you stay focused on the end goal. So, that resilience and call it flexibility without, moving too far off, like the key kind of point of what you're trying to build is certainly important. And then the last side of it is, this is like the, again, boring finance part of me, but, there are a ton of resources on cap tables, term sheets, venture investing, a billion things out there. Like I would make sure I do my diligence on that part of it. Right. So when someone comes to you and says, hey, what is, pre-post money, what does that mean for, someone putting X dollars in, what percentage of the company, what percentage of, in this instance, how does the allocation work on the token cap table, if you will, and also knowing that the token cap table doesn't necessarily mean I have ownership in the company. There are plenty of people who have tokens that aren't the investors in the organization. Understanding that relationship between the two, which are things that are pointed out in Chris's book, I believe, if I remember correctly. But understanding the financial aspects of this at that level are certainly important. So unless you've got something that is just so compelling that you don't have to worry about any of that stuff, I would highly recommend just the education around just almost like traditional investing. But these days, there's enough in terms of resources out there to educate yourself on both the traditional venture side as well as what the token allocation or the tokenomics, how they fit into traditional raise as well. So if I could just, I guess, summing it all up, it's looking at taking a look at Chris's book, as well as Imran's book, Mastering the Blockchain. Engagement and community governance, certainly very important. Not being afraid to fail, that resilient mindset, and then as an education around venture term sheets and investing as it relates to the Web3 space. Those are kind of the areas I think I would focus in on.
And of course, buying Bitcoin early.
And build a time machine, first thing.
Buy Bitcoin.